And so thank you, Steph, and thank you to thank you to the Parking Network for giving us the opportunity to do this little 15-minute ditty. So you can see my slides now. This is Parker Technology. I'm Brian Wolff, the CEO, and I'm going to look to my right to see myself, so I'll just stay focused on the slides. So I thought I would make this conversation a little more topical and sort of drive it towards how we're helping our clients today and how we could help other operators as we're all battling COVID-19 and how, as we're all trying to figure out what's going to happen when recovery begins. And so from my perspective, social distancing is going to be the new norm. That's sort of, I think we were seeing that in Europe, certainly in Asia. I think we're all going to be reluctant to touch things, frankly. And so we're working hard on trying to figure out things like how do you trigger a help call, which is what we do, without touching a screen or without having to interact with the machine beyond either talking to it or QR code or something like that. I think this will represent a tremendous opportunity for the operators to rethink their staffing models. So if you go back to business as usual for us today, we're living in a virtual world with Zoom and all of that. And the gates are down by and large in many of the parking facilities, even though the facility volume is down 80 to 90%. And people are realizing that if you have Parker on board, that we become the first line of defense, and I'll get into a little bit more of that later. But the point about virtual is that before COVID-19, we had already begun to sort of take the plunge into virtual. So you go to the airport, you tag your own bags, you go to McDonald's, you order your own food, you're used to interacting with a kiosk. COVID-19 hit 6 or 8 weeks ago for us, at least in the United States, here in Indianapolis for sure, and everything went to Zoom. And I don't know about you, but when I first got requests for Zoom calls, I was hesitant to turn the camera on, and now, frankly, I prefer to have the camera on because it is the way that we can interact with our colleagues who are stuck at home. And the fact is that this is how Parker has been operating since 2004, right? So we've been a two-way virtual communications company with customers that are stuck in parking in the lane since 2004. So this for us in many ways is business as usual, and it's an opportunity for us to sort of leverage 15 or 16 years of information or knowledge and deliver that to the market in a bigger and better way. So in a nutshell, why we exist is we exist to put the human touch back into, I say on the slide, a touchless world, but again, when a human gets stuck in a gate or when they get stuck at a meter and they don't know what to do, the only way to help that customer figure out what to do is you have to put a human with the ability to understand the context to be able to help that person through. And so what Parker does is we put the human touch back into interactions when a customer is stuck in the lane. And so I found this graph reading a book several months ago, and I thought it captured what we do and why we're so valuable to the market actually quite well. So as technology continues to evolve, certainly as COVID-19, as we begin to resolve it, there are going to be lots of technological changes trying to figure out how to make things touchless, how to make things virtual. And all that's going to do is drive that technology curve further up and to the right. But the fact is that the human's ability to adapt to it is still going to be relatively flat. And so when you get the technology curve above the human adaptability curve, you get a situation where the customer is confused, and you have to be able to help them. And ultimately, that's where Parker adds value. We help customers that get confused. So how do we know that? Well, or how do we know that what we do is important and why confusion is a big part of what we do every day? So automation is great when it works, and it presents a great experience. I don't have to talk to humans. I can walk up to a machine, I can tag my bags, I can get on the airplane, and I'm good. But when it fails, I need a human to help me. And so our data suggests that only about 15% of the help calls are driven by equipment failure or network failure. Fully 85% of the calls that we take on a daily basis and that we took in the past are driven by somebody, a human being either confused or failing. They lost their ticket, their phone broke, what have you. And so we know that no matter how good the technology gets, there's still going to be a big chunk of confused humans that are going to need help in a parking environment. So yesterday, the intercom calls were being answered by either a manager sitting in an office or someone roaming the garage with a phone in their pocket. I believe that the opportunity, back to the resourcing point that I made earlier, I believe there's an opportunity for operators to take a closer look at who takes those calls and bring their most important people back to focus on business development and keeping the garage operating while allowing a company like Parker to take their help calls and relieving the pressure of being interrupted by someone who's stuck in a lane. So the way that we do it today, the way we've been able to do it, we actually are 80% of our CSRs today are working from home because it's a cloud-based system. So as long as you've got a robust internet connection, we can connect our video intercoms or even audio-only intercoms to our call center, and it's all done via the cloud. So it's scalable and it's highly reliable. So a couple of stats about the call center itself. So in the last 12 months, we've taken 1 million calls. That number is down about 80% due to COVID-19, but we expect that number to come back. And across those 1 million calls, our average is we answer in 11 seconds, we've resolved the call in less than a minute, and we've missed less than 2% of the calls across that 1 million calls. So we answer quickly, we resolve it quickly, and we don't miss many calls at all. So what makes our call center and our platform special? Well, the fact is that the platform itself gives you the ability to load your business rules into our software so that we can become an extension of your team. And then through an extensive onboarding process, we get to know how you want to run your garage. Then we can deliver a custom branded experience. So our CSRs are answering as if they're you, and we're applying your business rules. So you tell us how much friction you want us to put in the system, whether you want us to raise the gate or you want us to make sure we get that person's payment. And in the end, we've got dedicated training and QA staff that watch literally hundreds and thousands of calls to make sure that we're following the rules, that we're sitting up, we're centered in front of the camera, we're engaged with the Parker on the other side, the customer on the other side, and then we're ultimately delivering the business and the customer experience that you're expecting and that you're paying us for. So in addition to being able to deliver custom business rules and deliver a custom experience based on the rules of the facility, we also record every interaction so that you can play it back as soon as the call is over. And we're collecting real-time stats about why did the human push the button and how did the issue get resolved. So that gives you tremendous amounts of information about what's going on in your garage, the ability to be proactive about maybe a machine is broken or a gate won't work or something like that, where we can call out and get it fixed quickly. But you can also know that you're confusing your customers because the sign doesn't make sense. The ticket button is as big as the help button, or the help button is as big as the ticket button, things like that, and gives you the ability to address the issues as soon as they occur. And then from a manufacturer's perspective, we work with all of the major manufacturers. So you can either bolt a video screen onto the side of the equipment, or in some cases, we've actually built an integration with the 4 different manufacturers. So with Flash Parking, for example, if you want a two-way video, it's simply a checkbox in a configuration and two-way video shows up. We're in similar discussions with a couple of other manufacturers, our ability to just make it a configuration change. TIVA is one of them, where we've got audio only today, and we're working through a two-way video integration. So stay tuned, there's more coming on that front. And then from a customer perspective, you can see that it's a broad spectrum of customers: universities, private operators, municipalities, and just share with you a couple of quotes. So the city of Las Vegas thinks our service is top notch. They actually moved away from us and then came back to Parker because our service was better. IUPUI, their chancellor told them that that everyone across the campus needed to improve the customer experience. And so parking jumped at that opportunity to deliver a two-way video experience in a parking garage, because they knew that the first and the last impression of a visitor or even staff or students is when they come in and park their cars. And so they took the advantage and put two-way video in, and it's been a huge success for them. And then Allpro, our private operator, told us that their service is top-notch, and it's always on is the key phrase there. So we put virtual ambassadors in the lane 24/7 via our call center, our two-way video. So I'll leave you with a couple of practical considerations in the current environment, right? You don't need to let social distancing detract from your customer experience or disengage or cause disengagement. We give you the ability to keep the gates down. We become the first line of defense. Our virtual ambassadors are in the lane 24/7. And we can help you as we begin to recover from COVID-19. We can help you cover your lanes while you begin to staff up your garages back to the levels, or perhaps even less than the levels that you were previous to the COVID crisis. And I think that's all I have. Hopefully I didn't run over. I can entertain some questions.
Did a great job, Brian. Thanks so much. Very clear and so interesting to see, indeed. And yeah, your product is perfect for social distancing at this time. Let's see if we have any questions in for you. Only compliments that this was a great presentation. So that's good.
Oh, it's always good to hear. Well, obviously, if they have questions, yeah, you can get us at helpmeparker.com, or you can reach out to me via email. Happy to take on any questions anybody might have.
Exactly. Sometimes questions roll in after the presentation, and we'll make sure to share them with you. And yeah, I think we're very close to the next presentation, Brian. So thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I hope you can. Oh, hold on. There's one quick question coming in for you.
All right.
Do you have an interface with all the parks systems?
So depending on the interface itself, we don't integrate with the parks equipment today. We've built, actually no, that's not true. We've built an API with one of the manufacturers. As we roll out our new platform, which will come out here in about 30 to 45 days, we will have the ability to build interfaces to each of the manufacturers as requests for that come online.
Great. Thank you so much.